sorry, Kate. Due to the UK's major financial backers backing out of funding unit, I'm afraid I'm going to have to temporarily, give or take, um, shut down slash suspend unit operations for, let's say, at least 4 to 5 years. And unfortunately, unit is not going to have much to do in this timeline unless some sort of time fracture thing happens or whatever, or something else. But apart from that, unit's not going to really do much for the next couple of years. Maybe you'll get some audios as well, but other than that, I don't think you'll be doing much for the next couple of years. I see you. I see you. I've done a little bit of digging and I've been trying to find out more about you. And from what I've discovered, you've been possibly the cause of some supposed accidental or natural deaths. But they're somehow connected to you. You might be some sort of alien. I don't know what your plan is, but if it's trouble, if it's not good, then I'm going to have to stop you. I was just trying to somehow tie that Brexit joke and resolution into what's actually happening in this story's episodes. And I might call in a favour from a good friend of mine, who's also an alien, and there's someone you won't want to have a conversation with. Well, I know the Brexit joke and resolution wasn't very good. I mean, it wasn't as bad as that conversation joke, but you don't have to threaten me with a friend of yours having to come and speak to me about something. I'm the Doctor, and I save people. Oh, Nardal. Yes, sir? Could you go up to Birmingham and get me a packet of crisps, please? Of course, sir. Wait a minute. I've just seen through your cunning ruse. You're trying to get rid of me so you and Bill can go off into space and have an adventure. No. You are! You are trying to get rid of me so you and Bill can go off into space to have an adventure. Fine, yes I am. Can I come too, please? Yeah, right. Yay! I'm Nardo! I have permission to kick your ass if you misbehave. I hope I make myself clear. Oh, you are crystal clear, Kate Stewart. Crystal clear. Good. Alright, now with that settled, on to the review. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who, Series 13, Episode 5, Flux, Chapter 5, Survivors of the Flux. Okay, where to begin with this episode? Right, so the plot of this episode sees the Doctor, having been captured by the Weeping Angels and brought to the Division, basically try to find out more about the Division and meet up with... well, it turns out, the woman from the end of episode 3, it turns out she is, in fact, Tek Taeyoon. So the Doctor is reunited with her adoptive mother. Meanwhile, Yazdan and Professor Jericho are stuck in the 1900s. 3 years have passed since the events of Village of the Angels, the 1901 side. By the way, sorry for loud noises upstairs in the attic. 3 years have passed, and they are now trying to find information about when the world is going to end due to the final event being caused by the Flux, on what day it's going to occur. But the Grand Serpent, also from episode 3, has sent, by the looks of it, he's sent some cronies back in time to try and stop them. For some reason, it's not explained here or nor in episode 6. Apart from that, he's the one in charge who's going to be causing Earth to be invaded. Other than that, I don't know why he sends people back to try and stop the fam. It feels like actually that is a bit of a loose thread left hanging. Speaking of the Grand Serpent, he has travelled back in time to Earth 1958 in order to help set up UNIT, as we see 1967, 1987 or 88, and 2017, and then 2021. The Earth is vulnerable, and he allows it for invasion by, spoiler alert, the Sontarans. All the while, Bell is trying to find Vinda. Vinda's trying to find Bell. They are about to meet at the same place, but Bell is then being in the car's Lupari ship. She is recalled to the Lupari fleet when one of the other ships disengages from the shield, and Carvanista comes on board to have a bit of a fight with her before the Sontarans invade. And Vinda gets trapped in a passenger suit after being discovered by Swarm Azure, as he discovers that they are using people to build up time energy so that they can reconnect with Tecteun, and he meets Diane in the suit. Oh boy, there's a lot going on in this episode, isn't there? Let's follow the strands, how they time with each other, and how they work one at a time. So we've got the Doctor and Tecteun strand, we've got the Yazdan Jericho strand, we've got the Grand Serpent Unit strand, we've got Carvanista and Bell, and we've got Vinda and Swarm and Azure, plus also the Sontarans jumping on, connecting the 4th and 5th ones. Okay, let's start with Vinda. He basically is just there to get captured. His role in the story is just to get captured by passenger, so he can help break Diane out of the suit in the next episode. Meanwhile, Swarm and Azure are doing something with time, Builder taking these energy of people so that they can go and meet up with Tecteun. Both villains are still quite creepy in this episode, but their motivations aren't quite made clear. What they want to do. What they're trying to do is sort of somewhat made clear when they get to Tecteun. We do kind of have an understanding what they are wanting. At least I think so. Anyway, Bell and Carvanista's plotline doesn't really go that much far either. Bell is just trying to find Vinda, but then she's recalled by Carvanista, and then he boards her ship, and they have a bit of a fight before they have to fight against Sontarans. I do like, however, what they do with Take Me, Belle's little gadget thing that connects her with her baby. In episode 3, the Take Me was basically just smiles and bouncy smiley face and lots of hearts. But this episode, they give Take Me a bit of a personality. And the next episode as well, they give Take Me a bit of a personality by having a couple of like how another human who would be with Belle would react to what she is saying and what she's doing. I think it's got a bit of a more of a fun personality that contrasts and works with Belle and later also Vinda really, really well. Let's start getting on to the bigger strands. First of all, Grand Serpent. Somehow the Grand Serpent has been able to travel backwards in time. We also discover that he's got this snake thing that's part of him that can get inside people's lung systems, as it's explained in the next episode, and is able to kind of choke their windpipe as a cause of death. And he's able to infiltrate the beginnings of units by meeting up with a guy who's helping to set up the organization and then helping him set it up. Bonus fact, we get a audio clip from Terror of the Autons of the Brigadier in the background. Though the episode that scene is set in 1967, so it's before the events of Web of Fear, which is, depending on who you ask, either set in 1968 or 1970. The unit dating controversy is getting a bit more complicated. They do also reference the War Machines, which is why they brought on the Colonel, Colonel Lethbridge Stewart, following the events of the war machines at the post office tower, now BT Tower. And presumably this is just before the Web of Fear, and then by the invasion, he's able to he's now in charge of the newly formed unit. So maybe things are still underway, and after the events of the Web of Fear, they're like, yeah, we definitely need this organization. Let's put that Colonel chap in charge. Lethbridge Stewart, I believe his name is. Let's promote him to Brigadier, and now, yeah, you're in charge now, mate. Here's some Cybermen. Go and fight them. Well, that's how I'm trying to tie these all in together. Basically, I wonder if any of them knew about the stuff that happened at Gatwick Airport in the Faceless Ones, which was basically set us up at the same time as the War Machines. Oh, again, that's another missed opportunity. They could have tied a reference of a new episode into with a recently released animated episode. Not only did they miss it with Web of Fear, but they missed it with Faceless Ones. At least twice upon a time took the opportunity to reference Power of the Daleks, to sort of tie in with Power of the Daleks, which was released a year earlier. Anyway, so the Grand Serpent eventually builds his way up throughout units by jumping every couple of years, 10, 20, 30 years, and then he's able to have units suspend operations for the most part, which ties in with the whole the whole thing in Resolution about unit operations being suspended due to financial disputes by the UK's major backers, aka a Brexit joke. It was a Brexit joke then, but now it's been tied up with that Grand Serpent. It basically caused unit operations to be suspended, leading to 4 years without a major planetary defense. Besides maybe some minor unit operations as seen in the Time Fracture stuff. But other than that, maybe some audios, and also MI6 keeping an eye on alien spies in Spyfall. The planet is pretty much, and also some Torchwood operations in the God Amongst Us, Alien and God Amongst Us audios, up to about middle 2019. And then after that, the planet is just sitting there for aliens to come and invade whenever they want. Halloween Apocalypse, anybody? Halloween Apocalypse and War of the Sontarans, anybody? And now Grand Serpent is opening it up for a second Sontaran invasion. Yeah, I think Unit's going to be back after this story, once Flux is over, because now people realise, oh shit, we can be invaded by aliens, and there's not anybody there to stop them until there is, so let's keep it that way. I wonder if that's a metaphor for Unit going away, and then once their aliens do come back, they are required again. But really, the main point about this is Grand Serpent helping the Sontarans invade the planet again, which ties into next episode. But I do find this strand to be pretty good, building up Grand Serpent's relationship with Unit Kate Stewart, who comes back in the 2017 scene, and she has to go on the run, nice nod to Osgood. I think on the run, go dark. And then he opens it up for the Sontarans for their revenge invasion, following the events of the first 2 episodes of this series. So I think this strand works well, building that up, and Craig Parkinson is delicious in this episode. He played the Grand Serpent like this typical cunt character in that episode, but this time around he is a deliciously devious villain. And yeah, I'm not sure why Grand Serpent wants the Earth to be invaded at all in the first place, but yeah, his motivations I don't know why he wants the Earth to be invaded by the Sontarans or anybody for that matter. I don't know why he even cares about the Earth, apart from that it's the center point for the Flux as it's pushing forward besides the planet of time, as we'll learn next episode. But in this episode we learn it's where the Flux is all heading towards. But other than that, I don't know why he's so interested in Earth and helping the Sontarans. It's not really made clear. The Yaz, Dan, and Jericho stuff made the most sense to me, as they were trying to find a way to get back to the present, their future, including Jericho's. And I really hope these sounds upstairs aren't interrupting you guys, aren't stopping you guys from hearing me. They find clues to try and help them find more clues, but why there's an agent of Grand Serpent sent back in time to try and stop them. By the looks of it, it's an agent of Grand Serpent from the wrist by one of his people, and someone else has it in the episode as well, in the present day. Why the Grand Serpent decides to point nuclear weapons at the planet's surface, I don't know either. And that doesn't really come up again in the next episode. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in this episode that doesn't really come to fruition next week. Or doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. I think Chris Chibnall's missed a couple of things. Maybe if you didn't have so many characters all at once, maybe you could have expanded on some of them. But I think the Jericho Yazdan stuff is the most straightforward stuff, bar Grand Serpent's servants trying to stop them for literally no reason. Stuff with the hermit, the Indian hermit on the hill, was really funny. I thought he was a very funny character. Really liked him. I actually wouldn't mind him coming back in episode 6 just for some comic relief. Though episode 6 is quite busy, so actually probably a good thing. Nobody else came back. Than who already did. And then they send the message to Carvanista and through time, but Carvanista can't get to them yet. Though I think it's more to time with what happens next episode, but not really so much to help them with the time travel. And then they go to the Williamson tunnels where they meet up with Joseph Williamson, who also had a cameo in early on in the episode. And now we kind of make sense about why Williamson has been popping up in most of the other episodes. He's been going through these doors that have been affected by time and the flux leading him to different times and places, and they're able to somehow get back to actually, no, that's at the start of the next episode. They get back to the present day, but they're inside the Williamson tunnels. But what's strange is that they arrive in 1904. Williamson is from 1820, and they need to get back to 2021. And they somehow kind of... they're either in 1904 or 1820, but all 4 characters are in this main tunnel before they get back to 2021. It's a bit odd. And what's more, Williamson doesn't really do an awful lot in the next episode either, so he's kind of just there just to help the companions get back in time and to pop up a few times. Maybe if he wasn't introduced in episode... Oh yeah, actually there is another reason why he made those tunnels, but that's something I'll have to talk about with episode 6, as that's more about that. But that does give him a reason why he's in the series. But maybe it would have been better if he just popped up in episodes 2 and 3, and not so much in episode 1. But anyways, the Dan, Yaz, Jericho stuff felt like the most cohesive stuff in a straight line, minus the Grand Serpent servant thing that happened earlier on. But it felt a bit more like there was actually a straight line for them to go down. And now the Doctor. So she meets up with Tek Taeun, who basically flat out tells her, not everything, but got a lot of stuff. And I just think Chris Chibnall just likes teasing the audience. He's hanging out this plot string. He's going, you want to know what this is all about? You want to know some secrets? You want to go and get it? Come and get it. Maybe I'll drop 1 or 2 of them. But I'm going to hold the rest off, if not next week, a later point in time. And I'm starting to find this a bit frustrating. I mean, it's because we're promised answers to so much, but a lot is being kept hidden. And you would have thought that the last 2 episodes of Series 13 would reveal some stuff. And to his credit, I will say this episode does reveal some stuff about the Vision, that it's everywhere, they can travel through dimensions. They were the ones who caused the flux because of the Doctor, who left the Vision for whatever reason, and so they put the flux in there because they were exploring time and space. Although why they waited until the Doctor was nearly 4,000 years old. 13 incarnations. Well, actually, it's the 15th. They waited. Well, since the William Hart, from the first Doctor, as we know them as played by William Hartnell, from then up to what is now their 15th incarnation, body, etc. And only now do they decide to do the flux. When the 13th Doctor learns about all of this, now is the time where they decide to throw the flux in, not during Doctor One's reign, not when the second Doctor is put on trial and he's exiled to Earth in his third incarnation, not when the fourth Doctor becomes president of Gallifrey, not when the fifth Doctor outs Barusa, not when the sixth Doctor is put on trial, not when the seventh Doctor is doing his manipulation rounds, not when the eighth Doctor's out there, not when the Time War's happening. It could have been a great weapon in the Time War, not when the ninth Doctor thinks he's the last of the Time Lords, there's no more Time Lords left, the Division can do whatever they want. Which is exactly what they've done this time round. But they didn't do it with whilst 9, 10, or 11 were around. They didn't do it when they were in a pocket dimension and 12 was around. No, it's only after 13. They didn't even do it when 13 was doing her early run. They waited all this time. So, yeah, it's odd that they waited until the 13th Doctor had found out about stuff like this, that they actually decide to do the Flux. And I think Swarm does escape thanks to Tech Taeyoon. I think that's what they say in the dialogue. I think that or Swarm is just really good at escaping from places. And they go to Tech Taeyoon and punish her for incarcerating them by killing her. Oh joy, just as we were getting to know this character a bit more, they kill her off just like a shad. Yay. We also learned it was Tech Taeyoon who was the one responsible for having the Doctor's memories erased and keeps it in a fob watch, which she has kept. She's now currently in charge of what is left of the Division, who operate, as I said, everywhere across different universes. This would actually be the point where people's fears about the Chibnall era being taking place in a different universe would be a bit more likely if the 13th Doctor came from one universe into another. But that's not confirmed in this episode or the next. And the Daleks look pretty similar to what they did in the other universe, the bronze ones, minus the sucker attachment being swapped out for other attachments. And in last series' Cybermen, there was some older Cyberman designs from other universes that had crept in. So, yeah, I don't know if this, unless this is confirmed in one of the last 3 specials, I don't think the fact this is a separate universe to the one that we had during the first 12 Doctors' reigns, minus when they went to other universes such as E-Space and the parallel universes, but the main one, the main End-Space universe, I don't think this is a separate one to that. I think it's the same one, just some things are a little bit different now, and as things change, depending on when the program's made. But yeah, we get some information about Division, but it's not a huge amount. And when we have the chance to learn more about the Doctor, Swarm is killed Tech Taeyoon, and we have to wait until next week to see if we learn anything. But that's more about next episode. So this one is definitely more of another prologue episode, like Halloween Apocalypse, and there's a couple of stuff answered concerning the Division, but it's not. It's like the first little bits of what we want to know, but there's still quite a bit left over, and we're focused on other characters doing their own things that are tying in with this episode or into next episode. And I think it's handled well on a cohesive structure, certainly more than Once Upon a Time, and heck, even Halloween Apocalypse, as we actually care about some of these characters, including some of the new characters introduced. And it's a bit more of an interesting story. It's kind of putting the players into positions for the finale, but still telling its own story in the meantime. And I think that's handled well on a story basis. Execution rise, again, cinematography and editing work really well, and there's some really great effects and in this episode, and it looks quite stunning in places, and works really well. I also don't mind the location world hopping that we've had in other episodes from Series 12. I don't mind how we've had that globe hopping. I think that's worked well with when we did it in the 1904 scenes. It worked pretty well. And yeah, I thought this one was a cohesive structure story, but I feel like because we are swallowing all of these stories all at once, it doesn't quite... It gels, but it's not quite perfect yet. I think it's handled well, but I think we needed I don't know, maybe if we took one story out of it or merged one story together with another, then before they all tied up at the end, I mean, then perhaps it would have made a bit more sense. The whole stuff with Vinder is so that he can meet up with Diane in the passenger suit, and that's really only about it. It's just so that they can be there in the finale. And so that we can see, well, how Swarm and Azure get to Tecteun. Other than that, there's not really much point there. And like I said, Grand Serpent sending a servant back in time to 1904, that wasn't really necessary. Just need the Jazdan, Jericho just struggle to get back to the future. That's what we needed. But on the story structure, it was a more cohesive and more thought out structure of the episode than Once Upon a Time, and perhaps even Halloween Apocalypse, plus a couple of Series 12 episodes that have done something similar. Production-wise, the production looks really great, and they do a brilliant job with this episode. I don't think the production have ever done a bad job with any episode, apart from maybe that obvious CGI at the very start of episode 1. But apart from, and the Dalek CGI in episode 3, but episode 5 looks really great. I think this is Azim Sadu. I can't remember his name, but I think this is his best directed of the 3 episodes he directs this series. The third, 5th, and 6th episodes. He directs this one really well. I think this is his best directed of the 3, and it looks really great. And the story is able to move. The stories, I should say, are able to move forward pretty well, despite a couple of script issues. But I think execution-wise, it does look pretty great, and overall, it's a pretty solid episode. So after all of that, Survivors of the Flux, quite flawed, but still quite a lot of good stuff. More good stuff than bad stuff. There's still some enjoyable moments, and yeah, it's a good episode. Even though I think maybe we could have had a bit more stuff answered, or maybe some stuff could have made a bit more sense. But as a setup for mostly for next episode, then I think it handled that pretty well, as well as also the resolvement of the cliffhanger from episode 4. And it could have been better, but that's the scene with the Doctor talking to the Weeping Angels was really good. I also really liked the fact we got an Ood on board. I think you didn't really need to be either in this episode or the next episode. You could have had anything and it would have made sense. But it's probably there for fan service, to be honest, the Ood being there. But it's a much appreciated fan service, actually. Overall, Survivors of the Flux, a good but very flawed episode, as I was saying just a few seconds ago. But yeah, definitely a good episode in the series. It's definitely got a lot of stuff going on, but it's one of the better structured ones, I think, and I'm glad about that. I'm happy about that. So, yeah. I shall be giving Survivors of the Flux, or Flux Chapter 5 Survivors of the Flux, a 8 out of 10. Yeah, I would have liked it a little bit more, but I thought it was still a really good episode nevertheless, and I'm glad that we did get some stuff about the Division and the Series 12 arc that swept into here. I'm glad we got a bit more of that here, and that we learned a little bit. Some stuff was revealed, but more stuff, the rest is still being hidden. Will episode 6 reveal more? Will it wrap up the Timeless Child, not the Timeless Child, but that as well? Will it wrap up that arc? Will it wrap up the Flux arc really well? Will it wrap up the Swarm Azir character arc? Will it wrap up the Sontaran stuff really well? What's gonna go down in that episode? Tune in next time to find out with Flux Chapter 6, The Vanquishers, coming hopefully soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Oh yeah, I'm still wearing my Sunflower Scheme lanyard to promote disability in media. Definitely wearing it for the next review as well, and that's it for Flux, but I might, if I remember, I'll also use it for the New Year special as well, in a couple of weeks. And I don't know if I'll do it for any other Doctor Who reviews or any more 13th Doctor Who review stories, but certainly for this series, and if I remember the New Year special, I'll wear it. Right, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. Actually, only rewatched it. I rewatched this episode for this review last week, and it's been a while. So I've had to. Fucking stasis. That she's pregnant with. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm really happy about that. So. Anyway. Slash the death slash the future. Drowning my voice out. That was it. That we had in some of the other episodes of Series 12, and I suppose to a less extent, Halloween Apocalypse. And I think. Oh, and yes, I am still wearing this Sunflower Scheme lanyard for all future Doctor Who reviews with the 13th Doctor. Oh, well, at least, therefore, definitely for the Vanquishers, at least. Hopefully, if I remember, either the Daleks. But yeah, oh yes, I'm still wearing my Doctor Who. And I might call in a favour from a good friend of mine who's also an alien, and he's someone, or rather they. This means that that joke in Brexit. I just. Of course not! Shit. Of course, sir! Wait a minute! I've seen through your cunning ruse. You're trying to get rid of me so you and Bill can go off into space and have an adventure. Do that again.